The sun hadn't yet climbed above the horizon, but the vast Arctic sky was already glowing with a soft, icy blue. Snowflakes drifted gently through the air, swirling like feathers on the wind. Beneath the wide, empty sky, silence ruled, except for the distant crunch of snow under 4 small paws, then 4 more, followed by an urgent whimper. 2 tiny polar bear cubs, barely a few months old, stumbled through the snow, their white fur blending into the endless landscape. They weren't playing or tumbling like usual. They were scared, and they were searching for help. Their mother, a massive, powerful bear named Nuna, had always seemed unstoppable. She was their protector, their warmth, their world. But something had changed. What started as an ordinary day turned into something neither of them understood. Nuna had led them across the frozen bay, the same route she had taken many times before. But this time, she had slipped between the cracks of thinning sea ice. Trapped, struggling, unable to pull herself out. The cubs had watched in helpless panic, chirping and whining, nudging her with their tiny noses, trying anything they could. But Nuna didn't budge. Her massive paws, usually so graceful, now flailed against the ice. She was stuck. Hours passed. The cubs stayed close, refusing to leave her side. The shape in the distance grew clearer with each step Kara took. Though her boots sank deeper into the snow now, her breath was heavy, clouding in front of her face, and her heart was racing, not just from the cold or the effort, but from the unknown that lay ahead. The cubs moved faster now, their tiny paws flitting through the powder like they knew every inch of this icy land. But that moment, when one of them had frozen in place, it stuck with her. Something had spooked them, or warned them. Kara wasn't sure which. As they approached the shape, it became heartbreakingly clear. It was Nuna. The large mother bear lay sprawled across the ice, her massive body half sunken into a gaping crack. Her fur, usually a brilliant white, was coated in frost and matted with frozen snow. Her breaths were shallow, almost invisible. Kara's heart dropped. She crouched from a distance, her instincts torn between staying safe and getting close enough to help. She knew how unpredictable wild animals could be, even in their weakest moments. But this wasn't an ordinary encounter. This bear hadn't stumbled upon her. Her cubs had come to find her. There was no coincidence in that. She fumbled for her radio, calling the station with a shaky voice. "This is Kara. I found a polar bear, adult female, trapped." They moved quickly but carefully, setting up makeshift supports and spreading warming pads as close to Nuna as they safely could. The plan was risky. They'd have to chip away some of the ice around her and use straps to lift her out. There was no sedation, no fancy equipment for that, just experience and urgency. While they worked, Kara stayed with the cubs, holding out one gloved hand for them to sniff. They didn't pull away. They had started to trust her, and that broke something open in her chest. These little ones, born into a world they were barely beginning to understand, had done something few creatures would ever think to do. They asked for help, and now help was here. The process was tense. Every sound from the ice sent waves of dread through Kara. The straps slid into place. A quiet signal passed between the team, and then, slowly, Nuna's massive body began to rise. The crack inside, the ice moaned but held. With one final pull, the team shifted her weight fully onto a sled pad. She didn't roar, didn't move much, just laid there, blinking slowly, as if unsure whether to believe she was free. Kara rushed over, crouching beside her, whispering soft words she couldn't even hear herself saying. The cubs moved quickly, tucking themselves beside their mother again. Nuna gave a soft, low sound, almost like a sigh. She was still alive, still with them. The team didn't stay long. The weather was still unpredictable, and they needed to get the bears to the rehabilitation enclosure near the edge of the research zone. It wasn't a permanent home. It wasn't meant to be. But it would give Nuna time to recover, to gain strength, and it would give the cubs a chance. Hours later, after they arrived at the temporary shelter, Kara stood watching through a small observation window. Nuna had already started trying to rise, her instincts kicking in. The cubs were curled in a pile of fresh straw, their tiny sides rising and falling with deep sleep. Kara hadn't spoken in a while. Her camera hung loosely from her shoulder. For once, she wasn't thinking about angles or footage. She was thinking about what these animals had shown her. There was no script, no narration that could fully explain what had just happened. A mother trapped by the very ice she had learned to trust. Her cubs, innocent and determined, making an impossible journey. A human who didn't expect to be part of any of it, but was pulled in anyway. In the days that followed, the story spread. Polar bear cubs seek help for their stuck mother. The headline ran across wildlife blogs, nature news, even national outlets. The footage Kara had captured was unlike anything seen before, not just because it was rare, but because it was real, emotional, unexpected. The keywords: polar bear rescue, Arctic survival, climate impact, mother bear story. They drew viewers in, but what made them stay was the connection, the quiet, undeniable truth that we aren't as separate from the natural world as we like to believe. Weeks later, Nuna stood on all fours again, stronger, fiercer. The day the team opened the gate to the wild, she didn't hesitate. She stepped forward, looked back once, and then disappeared into the white with her cubs close behind, free again. Kara watched them go with a strange mix of joy and sadness. They had come to her needing help. She gave what she could, but in the end, they had given her more. A story not just of survival, but of hope, of trust, of how life, even in the coldest places, finds a way.